My name is Chester Fugate. I joined the Assange movement in 2018. I joined because it wasn't right for Julian to be prosecuted. Um, and it definitely wasn't right for him to be facing death penalties uh, for just allowing public knowledge to be easily accessed. Now that he is free, I know that we can speak loud enough to be heard. And that's great.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Action for Assange. I'm your host, Misty Winston. Sleepy Josh is here on the ones and twos. Thanks for joining us. We are here with the crew from Tulsa. I'm very excited. You guys know I love this series that we're doing. So we're going to talk to them a little bit about the things that they've done over the years, what's been effective, what hasn't been effective, things that we can build on, that kind of stuff, as we're doing with each group for each of these episodes. So we just recently had Boston. Obviously, we have Tulsa today, and then we have Denver on Wednesday. Again, I'm still in conversations and trying to do the scheduling stuff with all of the different time zones for multiple people in London, Seattle, people in New Zealand and Australia. So we're going to have lots of these episodes coming up over the coming months. It's going to take me a long time to get through. I would love to talk to as many people as humanly possible across the globe. So there will be lots of these episodes coming up. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, do the little notification bell. I just realized the other day that I very rarely tell anybody to subscribe to the channel. I know that's like you're supposed to do that. I don't know that I've ever done that. So do that. Subscribe to the channel. Share these so that we can get through the algorithm, because everybody knows YouTube does not like Assange stuff. So yeah, help us out with that as well. So, okay, we're here with the crew from Tulsa, as I mentioned. Obviously, a lot of you are probably familiar with Halo, and then she's got her husband, Mr. Benson, as we like to call him. And then Aspen is their daughter, and then Chase Miller is here as well. And you guys might also be familiar with Chase. He's pretty the Twitter family. He's pretty hardcore in there, and then also he's been on my team, was on my TNT show at one point. So Halo, I'm gonna let you kind of give a rundown of how the crew formulated, since I know that it started really with you and your husband. So just give us like a little brief description of when you got started, how it got started, and then how the crew grew from there.
It kind of started at Million Mask March in 2015, with the realization that, I mean, there was kind of this assumption that because he had been, I assumed because he had been given, what the hell's the word? At the embassy where asylum. I thought it was just a matter of a couple legal things to like get him to Ecuador or something like that. And so, yeah. And when I realized it's like, oh, they're actually going to do this, that they we're going to try to like extradite him to somewhere else to extradite, like that they were really following through with it. It was like, okay. So then I started writing letters and making phone calls, because those are, the go-tos. And then I don't know, like I wasn't on Twitter then. And I looked for online, like on YouTube, I would go into any sort of, libertarian kind of podcasts or channels or stuff like that, and kind of in the comments talk about Julian, and and then it wasn't until I found Twitter that I found like all the other Assange people. So that was cool. But it just kind of was like, what can you do? So write the letters, and then go out with signs and educate as many people as you can. And what I found in Oklahoma, at least, is the only thing that was the difference between somebody supporting Julian and not supporting Julian was whether they knew about him or not. As soon as you would tell somebody, here's what's happening, they'd say, well, they can't do that. That's against our First Amendment. And it was like, yeah, exactly. And then, so I don't know, I guess it turned into, honestly, the person that got me like coordinating things was Alex Hills from New Zealand, because she'd be like, hey, Halo, do you want to do this? I'm like, okay, sure. So, I mean, she really got us in the streets a lot more often than before. And I wish Darshell was here, because Darshell is a big part, I feel like, of Tulsa for Assange or Oklahoma for Assange. But she had to work. But anyways, and I came about her and Chase came from you. When you did that that big thing of trying to connect us together, since the country's so big and whatever, they directly came from you, and they reached out, and I don't know, we've just been kicking it ever since, and
I love that too, because I was really hopeful when I first started doing that. I didn't have near the following I have now.
Yeah.
That sounds so douchey. Near the following I have now. That's not what I mean. But I had a much smaller account than I do now. This was years ago, and I was like, I have no idea if this is going to work at all. But I feel like I feel like there are people who want to get involved but don't want to do it on their own, and if they could find other people near them that they would be willing to jump in. And I mean, Chase and Darshell, I was able to find people for Boston. Suzanne ended up getting involved with Paula, there was a whole bunch of people. So I'm very excited that was successful. And Aspen, I wanted to talk to you because your mom and I have talked about this several times. This has been like a whole lot of your life, right?
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I mean, I remember being about 15 when he started being in embassies, and then 18 when it was like, oh crap. And then I'm 26 now. So it's like, oh crap, like it's kind of hard to grasp the concept that he's free. And two, it's a lot of, I have no idea what to do with myself. I'm sure a lot of the Assangists are kind of just sitting on our hands waiting for orders, just what do we do now? But it's been excruciating would be an appropriate word to describe everything that has been. I mean, it's been tears and cold with signs and just wind whipping you in the face, or drenched in sweat, and going from one or two people honking on the road to 15, 20 people over the years is like, oh, at least we're being noticed. And now it's like, oh, we won.
Yeah, it is weird. And it was, I think for a lot of us, it was a little sudden. Most of us, I don't think we're expecting it. I think that was
I expected
pretty obvious.
A way longer process.
Yeah.
Than what we got.
So we were all kind of smacked in the face with, hey, it's over. Like it's not over,
okay,
but it's over.
It's not. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not over.
Aspen and Chase can attest to this. The very last 2 times we were out, both times I said, this is probably going to be the last time we were out, because I knew. She did say that. Yeah, like I knew he was going to go free. Like it felt like everything was coming together, and I don't know. Like, and I know everybody kind of dismissed me as, well, Halo's been thinking he was going to go free for 9 years. That's fair.
He said it in one of the first standouts too.
Eventually it paid off. But it was really cool to know. Like the last time we were out, I thought this is probably the last time we're going to be out, and I said that. And there's so many times in your life where you have a last time of something and you don't know that it's the last time. Do you know what I mean?
For sure. Yes. Like I read this, some comment, I think it was on Instagram or something, about the last time you hold your kids and you don't know it's going to be the last time you hold your kids. And I was like, oh my God, that got me right in the feels. Oh, but yeah. And I think that, and I went through waves of feeling very optimistic. Like, certainly this is the last time I'm going to have to drive to DC, right? This has got to be over soon. And then I mean, you guys know I'm super pessimistic. So then I would dip back down into, we're going to be doing this for the next 10 years. And I remember there was one, I forget which April event that it was, or maybe it was a birthday event, but somebody said, okay, we need to start talking about organizing for next year. And I'm like, no, we do not. It needs to be over by next year. Like, it felt like we were so in this routine of just expecting it to go on, and I was just over it, and I think we all were. So having it be over, I think is, and again, it's not over. I don't mean to imply that it is. Certainly the fight continues. We all know that. But the fact that he's out of prison, I think, is a tremendous weight off of all of our shoulders. Okay, Mr. Benson, I have to talk to you because your wife is, and I love you, Halo, but obsessive. So what is that like for you? Because I know that you've been like such a soldier on this. You have been like really cool about just helping her, doing everything that she wants you to go along with. So what has that been like for you to be on this ride with her?
Man, anything for the fight,
Yeah.
All I want to do is just, we have let me see what I'm trying to say. it hasn't been a burden or a problem. You know, she's out every day in and day out, trying to do the right thing, trying to get us voices heard. It's been no problem. I'm glad he's free.
Yeah.
I still can't believe that he's free. I think it's going to be the first time that in 9 years that I'd be able to like have a birthday wish that didn't start off with free Julian Assange. You know, she's a trooper. She's a soldier.
Thanks,
She's the real deal. I'm proud of her. Impressed
You should
with her.
be. Yeah,
And
you should
be. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good answer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good answer though, because it like my husband isn't super involved, but he is very patient with my shenanigans.
Yeah.
So I recognize what that is, and so and I mean, listen, she is like, there are very few people in this movement, myself included, who are more dedicated, or who have been more dedicated, or who have done more. I mean, we were just bragging about you last night, talking about the postcards and how much work you put into that, and how like super effective that was. And so, yeah, I mean, we certainly appreciate the fact that you were there helping her get all that stuff done. And Chase, you've been on my TNT show before. When did you come along? Like, when, I don't remember when I did the whole matchmaking thing. When was that? What year was that?
I would have to guess maybe 2018. That was kind of when I was starting to wake up. I started to learn about WikiLeaks and everything. Like the fact that they've never published a single thing that they've had to retract. They've never been wrong about anything.
That's impressive. Every time I hear that out loud, I'm like, that's impressive. Like, seriously, if you just stop and think for a second, over the course of their existence, founded in 2016, to have never published anything, a single word that has to be retracted, that's crazy.
That's more than what you could say about Fox News or CNN or MSNBC or
literally anybody on planet Earth.
Any news, anything ever. Yeah.
Yeah. Independent media. It doesn't matter. Nobody has that record. And again, it's not like anonymous sources say, or some opinion piece. It's like actual facts. It's, hey, here's the actual facts in black and white. You read it, you do with it what you want. So, I mean, that's tremendously important to me. So can we talk a little bit about, because I think for me, one of the things I'm most excited about in doing this series is talking about different actions that we've all done, what worked for you, what didn't work for you, stuff like that. And I know that, I mean, Halo, you've been doing this for a very long time, so you've taken part in many, many actions. What were some of, like, off the top of your head, and you all can kind of give your own answer, what were for you, what were some of the most effective methods of communicating the message? Do you think that the sign waving was super effective? Do you think it was postcards? Do you think that events like Ithaca, the showings of Ithaca, what were some of, maybe not even the most effective, but some of your favorite, the things that you thought gave you the opportunity to get the message out the most effectively?
Okay, so my favorite thing is to wave signs. And to these troopers that have sat out there and never bitched about that 3 hours at a time is too long, thank you guys. But like, that's my favorite in terms of how I feel. It's like that glory moment where I don't know, but in terms of being effective, I genuinely think that the boxes are what, like, being able to give a lady in Florida that's on Social Security and can't really afford stamps like that, and doesn't know where to write, or doesn't whatever. The letters and postcards in the boxes, I think, were the most effective. But my favorite thing was the Free Your Dad campaign, because for anybody that isn't familiar, there was a Belmarsh tribunal, and in it, Stella was listening to it on her phone and putting the boys down for bed. And somebody mentioned that the United States wanted to assassinate Julian. And Gabriel said, "Mommy, did that lady just say they want to kill Daddy?" And her heart dropped. She spoke about it. And all I could think about is, any mom knows oh, I screwed up. I let them see something they shouldn't have. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And just that wave, and not, it really bothered me. Like, I cried my heart out, and I thought, what could we do? And it might not have been the most effective thing or whatever, but I think that every single person that participated in it felt that same feeling, and felt like they just wanted to be able to kind of collectively hug them and be like, we're going to get your dad free. You know what I mean? It just felt just really authentic and honest, and everybody's videos, they were so beautiful. Like, I just watched them and cried. That was my favorite thing. What about you, husband?
For people who don't know, just you can probably go back and check it out. We did just very short videos. Hi, Gabriel and Max. I'm Misty Winston. I just wanted to let you know that I think your dad's a hero and we want to see him free or whatever. Just like a short message to kind of combat that really awful negativity that Gabriel was exposed to. And I mean, they're just little boys. And this was a couple years ago, maybe, or ish.
Yeah.
So even younger
so.
then.
Yeah.
So
a year and a half.
Yeah. So I think that was, especially for parents, I think that was a tough thing for us all to really come to terms with and grapple with, because we've seen the way that the boys have been so negatively affected. We know that to visit their dad, they had to go through these ridiculous procedures where they had to be sniffed by dogs and, body searched and all of this stuff. And then all of the restrictions during COVID, they weren't even able to like hug him or anything like that. So that was always, I think, pulling on people's heartstrings. So yeah, that was such a brilliant idea that you came up with. And it was just cool to see that come together so quickly. So what about you, Aspen? What do you think was the most effective, or what was your most favorite?
Well, my favorite, just off emotional and sentiment, will always be the lantern releases. Nothing was more beautiful. So favorite goes with the lanterns, but with effectiveness, I have to agree with my mother and add on to, the boxes and just flooding everybody in the Senate and every congressman and just everybody with, hey, Julian, and just getting them to a point where I genuinely feel like they were like, holy crap, I'm so sick of seeing his name. Can somebody please free him? This is getting ridiculous, So I think that was the most effective, but the boxes as well. And I'm going to add on to the being able to give people that don't necessarily have the money to get involved in activism, but also people that don't necessarily have the time to go out and make their own prints, to go stand on the side of the road for 3 hours, the people that they're so desperately wanting the world to change, but they've got 3 kids, they've got 2 jobs, they're single moms, they're unemployed, they're on SSI, like the people that, they're like, we're fighting for all of us. So that most effective for sure.
I agree 100%. Mr. Benson, what do you think? What was your most favorite one?
I got a most favorite one was when we all, Tulsa 41st and Pure, when we all were there, me, Darshell, Chase, Halo, Aspen, Tyler,
Chester,
everybody was there. That was a good one.
We even had, local EMS when they drive by honking their horns. Tulsa,
First responders.
I think the most effective thing is getting people to see the parallels with them and Julian. Like, this can also happen to you, and that sort of brought home that it's not just somebody that you're talking about. It's not about Julian, some distant figure. Like, the things that are happening to him can also happen to you, and so I think it forced people to think a little bit deeper inside, and then spread the word on, because you tell that one person who's going to tell their brother, going to tell their sister, going to tell their grandmother. I think effectiveness was drawing a parallel between Julian and how it can also, his plight and what they're doing can also happen to you.
Also igniting the compassion in people, like Mom said earlier, just like nobody could hear what was going on and say, no, they're right to put them in prison. No, that's wrong. They can't do that. So it's also like, going, well, this is what they're doing. It pulls at your heartstrings for people.
Yes, the education part, just getting the information to people. That was, and I said that the whole time, that was our biggest hurdle, because mainstream media wasn't talking about it. Social media was algorithmically suppressing it. It was really difficult to get information to anybody. So, and like Halo said earlier, once somebody was like introduced to the case in a real way and actually got the facts about what was happening, instant supporter. I mean, there was very rarely did I ever have a case where somebody was actually exposed to the realities of the case and were like, yeah, no, I don't support that guy. That never happened. So I think just getting
ask Chase, because I know what his
people.
favorite thing was.
Chase, what's yours?
Okay, I think mostly just being in the streets, but like just seeing the progression. And
okay, but what about the Jimmy Dore?
Oh,
I was about
yeah,
to say
that.
the Jimmy Dore.
That was one of my favorite nights, actually. And that was
shout out to Jimmy Dore, by the way. Jimmy has been a longtime supporter of Julian Assange, friend of mine. Every time we needed something, whether it was allowing us to table at one of his shows or he donated very generously to several of our events, he had me on his show to hype our events. Anytime we needed something from him, it was an immediate yes. I didn't even have to question that he would be willing to do it. It was an immediate yes. And so shout out to him, because there were very few people that we could count on like that over the years, which was unfortunate. Like even like supporters, would ebb and flow with how willing they were to be a loud voice about it. So Jimmy was very excellent on that front. So Chase, what do you think was most effective?
Well, I think I may have mentioned this on your show before, but honestly, and this probably comes from living in a red state, is that Tucker Carlson, the fact that he would bring on Jimmy or Glenn Greenwald to talk about this, I think that kind of helped wake people up.
Yes. Again, shout out to Jimmy Dore, because Tucker Carlson admitted live on air that it was Jimmy Dore that changed his mind. Tucker Carlson was not always a supporter of Julian Assange's, and it was because he had people on his show that, like Jimmy, that presented the information to him, and it was because of that he changed his mind. And really, Tucker, I am not a fan of Tucker Carlson. Don't get me wrong. I think he is a shady character. Likely not having the best of intentions, but he did have every day of the show leading up to Trump leaving office, he had somebody on his show every single day of that week advocating for Trump to give him a pardon, and that I think was awesome. So what I'm curious about, especially Halo, because you've been doing this for so long, how you notice the support change over the years, because I know that really, especially in since the arrest in April of 2019, I think that we have seen just a crazy increase, a very noticeable increase over the course of that time in the support for Assange. I mean, was it slow before? How did you notice the support changing over the course of the years?
This is what I think. It became a thing where online turned into offline. Like I genuinely think that was a turning point, like when and the things that made it mainstream, like Julian being already in the embassy, like releasing Vault 7 was badassery of the highest sort. Like, most people would be like, let's not piss off the man any more than I already have. But it put, the Vault 7 was sort of like, you can do what you like, but I'm going to do this right thing. And I think that gained like mad respect. And I also think then certain things started happening when Gabriel started coming here and kind of like, just being in DC all the time, doing all of that work and finding, where, I think that he's the one person in the family anyways, that like kind of moved away from like, catering or begging from the Biden administration and kind of went like, where is my support? And then it became way more bipartisan. You got Thomas Massey on there. You know what I mean? Like things started growing then. And one of the things that I noticed happened though, and it might just be because of putting it together, the Assange directory, which also big, huge shout out to you for helping with. But people feeling like they were invested now because they were doing more than just tweeting. They were getting a box where they could like fill out 30 letters and send 20 postcards and send a lantern for the lanterns for Assange into the sky, things like that, that you become emotionally invested. It's not just something that is your screen time. It's your real time. You know what I mean? And like the momentum and then I think also all of us learning how to talk to people. And I think that that's something that just kind of organically like grew around the different groups, is saying to people like, okay, you can call somebody an idiot and prove them wrong and have them walking away from you thinking you're a douchebag, or you can just nod and smile and say, okay, and look at this. Yeah, fooled me too. Yeah, here's the real thing. Like learning how to talk to people without alienating them, learning how to make a safe space for people to admit that they were wrong before, or things like that. I think that
And I would like to add to that, like getting to a point where everybody, no matter where anyone stood politically, could brush over that and form actual real deep bonds and connections through this fight.
Yeah.
Yes, that is my absolute favorite thing. And first of all, let me just say that I am not good at talking to people. I get angry. I used to be much better. My patience ran out. At least online. Like I'm
That's
much
fair.
better in person, like in real life with people, like meeting people at events and stuff like that. Like I can do that much better than I can online. But I think that also is just the nature of social media. At least for me, my social media experience is littered with lots of really stupid trolls. So my snark is on like a hair trigger. Like I'm ready to be snarky at any moment. And so I think I'm trying to work on that. Sleepy and I were just talking about this, like not responding to people who are obviously not coming in good faith and stuff like that. But I was not always the best at that. And I also ran completely out of patience with people like an Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or a Bernie Sanders or really anybody. Like if you're in a position of power and I can't get you to talk about the greatest threat to press freedom in history, then I have an issue with you and I'm going to call you out on that. And I think that that's just my approach, and it's not for everybody. And certainly lots of people don't agree with it. But I think it is important. And for me, I think I noticed that what I tried to work on is honing my message when I would do shows and knowing my audience. Like if I went on a libertarian podcast talking about the Constitution and liberty and things that they are very invested in, and to make those connections to them. And I think that was really, really important to do. And that was, I don't know. Yes, Charlie, I know some of the stupid trolls are on my side. It's not always easy to tell though, guys. Sometimes, again, my snark is on a hair trigger on Twitter.
Whatever. One of the best things about Twitter is watching you smack somebody down. Like, honestly, I know Chase agrees with me. So, I mean, he's got a fair bit of snark himself. But.
I just had to go off on somebody today for some dumb shit. And this person, I think, initially somebody asked the question, why do people on the so-called left hate Trump? And so I was like, well, here's why, and gave them all the things that he did to Assange. And somebody was like, okay, I get that. I really appreciate that. But do you also not like the Democrats because they're against the Second Amendment? What the fuck does that even matter? Like, what does that have to do with anything? And I'm like, first of all, like, just go take a quick look at my timeline. No supporter of Democrats. I am not a supporter of Democrats for any reason.
I think,
but that shit just drives me crazy.
Every Assangeist I know I've been called far right. I've been called far left. I've been called a Nazi.
Yes.
I've been called
Putin puppet.
People will pull anything out of their ass for that.
Yes. I've been called all of the things. If there's a thing to be called, I've been called it. But yes, as Austin was saying, I think that my favorite thing about the Assange movement, whatever you want to call it, is the fact that, because I had always talked about this in theory, that it should be easy to come together in a single issue coalition and just work on the thing that you all agree on, but I wasn't really sure that it was possible, especially given the division that we're facing. But the Assange movement proved that it is absolutely possible. We did it globally. Like, we don't all agree on everything. There are people from the right, there are people from the left, there are people from in between, there are people from all across the political spectrum. We may not agree on anything else, but we were able to come together on this issue and get the thing done. And that to me is one of my most we did it's so cool. And now we have this global network of people that all know each other, support each other. Maybe we don't all agree. Maybe we won't work on all of the other issues together, but we have those connections now. And that to me is so
I'm already making
invaluable.
Plans. I already have.
I know.
So
I'm working on David McBride right now.
Yeah, that's what like. Everybody, that's kind of the first thing that people were like, well, what's next or whatever. But we have we're set up perfect. I mean, for all of the stuff, there's people everywhere, and there's already, there's already this built-in trust. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, we know
it would be highly
this
foolish
person's
to
going to
waste
show
that.
up for this, or we know that those people will do this. And
it would be very foolish for us to waste that, is what he said.
Yeah, nobody.
Yes.
I was just in a Free Assange Wave meeting earlier today, and nobody's doing that. We're not. I mean, think about it. We beat the man. Like we beat the man, and anybody can say, people can say, oh, it was the diplomacy, it was the politicians, it was the lawyers, it was the artists, it was the protesters, it was the letters, it was not any single action, it was every single action, every single action over the past decade. That Stella said we need public support. We gave that. Then they had leverage. Do you know what I mean? There, like, so many factors played into it. And I think that,
thank you.
That along the way, everybody's saying, oh, well, it was this thing, it was that thing, or I did this, or I did that. We did this. Every single one of us. I don't care if you're just somebody who's a retweeter. Good.
Yes.
As bad as we were suppressed, we needed that. I want to give props to this. Okay, everybody knows I can get super hyper focused. I get in the boxes and I barely come up for air. And Chase, this whole time, like, Chase will send me the DMs so that I know what's going on in the news, so that I know what, like, literally all the time for how many years now. And I'll be like, what do you think of this? I'm like, I don't know. What? Send me a link or whatever. Or he'll, and then it became have you seen? Making sure that I could stay up on things because there would be sometimes for like a week or two, like, if it wasn't Julian related, it wasn't on my radar because of being buried in these boxes or whatever. And so thank you for that. And also thank you for it, because me and you were out a lot alone. And like last summer with the stickers on the shopping cart seats or whatever, it was so ungodly hot, and just like, he don't care what the temperature is. He will show up. Like Chase is your guy. But thank you. And I also want to say to Aspen, and something that kind of you had talked about earlier with, like, you, babe, in our family, and this is bad, like, there's this guilt part of me because I am obsessed. And now it's other things. I just want to make the world fit for Aspen, because look at her. She's lovely, and I want to make the world better. So I'm kind of always obsessed. And our family, when we'll ask about things, like you asked about for your dad, Aspen's like, 1.5 years ago. Why do we know? Because we might not know which anniversary it was, whose birthday. Everything in our life is organized by, the Ithaca thing. When we went to Kansas, everything is.
Every event that we've ever had has been a landmark for anything else in our life, because life has become second to Julian.
And I want to say, like, I'm sorry, not sorry, but I
don't want you to feel that way, because I'm not sorry. And I loved being in the fight, and I love knowing that I'm capable of.
Chase knows this, but Misty doesn't, and neither does anybody else watching. But Aspen is the finder of lost souls, right? Like, she finds somebody that needs help and she brings them home to us, and we parent them or whatever. And the rule in our house was no hard drugs, and you have to show up for Julian stuff. And so Aspen brought so many young kids, Tyler, Chester, Jordan, Trace, Aiden, everybody, like, is because of Aspen bringing them to our house and it being a mandatory thing. Anything else they can have their opinions on, but if you're living here and I'm paying your bills, you're coming to and thank you for that, and just thank you for being so fierce, and don't judge me, man. It was effective, but you could always tell.
Thank you for putting in over 40 hours a freaking week into something that didn't pay you to get to 75% of the world saved for me. So thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
No, but I get the mom guilt though. Like, I get, like, I can't tell you the number of times where I was like neck deep in, or like the October event. I was over my head. That was a huge event, over my head. I felt like I was neglecting everything else but that. And I get the mom guilt where, you don't want it to take over your life, but it also is really important. And trying to find balance is next to impossible. So yeah, I totally get that 100%. But yeah, like, I mean, as we're talking about things that worked and didn't work and stuff like that, and talking about this global network and all of that stuff, the fact that we have that now and we're able to use that, I mean, we're like a little weapon now. We have like this weapon that we can use against, global systems, and that's really cool. But
called the Assange Army.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, and that's and the idea that we can now use that for other things. And as Sleepy was just saying, like, it would be foolish for us to waste that. And it makes me really happy that I don't think anybody is. I think that obviously, once he was freed, I think a lot of people took a deep breath and took a step back for a minute, as you should. I mean, a lot of people have dedicated so much time and energy and effort to this. And I think being able to like just breathe for a second was nice. I mean, I don't really think I took a lot of like time off. Yeah, I didn't really take any time off necessarily, but I mean, I went right to work on David McBride, things like that. But I think that I don't see anybody like stepping away entirely, and I think that that's going to be hugely. I think we've already proven that we're hugely effective, and I think that if we can maintain that organization and maintain those connections and those relationships, we can really get a lot of shit accomplished. Obviously, as you just said, we were punching way above our weight class. You know what I mean? Like way above our weight class. And I'm so sick and tired. I'm so glad that you brought it up, Halo. I'm so tired of people trying to discredit the impact that activism had on this. Oh, well, it was just because of AUKUS and, Anthony Albanese needed a win, diplomacy, blah, 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 blah. Anthony Albanese wouldn't have had to do any of that if he wasn't pressured to do that by the activists in Australia who did an unbelievable job lobbying their politicians, creating that cross-partisan group of people in Parliament, the DC-6 that came to the United States. None of that would have happened if they hadn't been pressured to do that by their citizens. Yep. And so I'm so tired of people trying to discredit and say that we had no impact and it had nothing to do with us. That's bullshit of the highest order. I don't accept that at all. And as you said, it's not any one thing. Did diplomacy have a part in it? Of course. Did Anthony Albanese have a part in it? Of course. Did the lawyers have a role to play and all of that? Of course. But to say that activism played no role is just ridiculous. It is absurd.
Well, at the end of the day, didn't mean to cut you off, but at the end of the day, the global movement that this has become has kind of proved, especially now that he's free, has kind of proved that the political elitism is kind of a lie. And at the end of the day, we still are the ones that are giving them money that are their checks, and we pay them. They work for us. And I think that that's something that people are starting to realize, like, wait, we're not slaves. If we actually all kind of just group together, they have to do what we say. They have to do right by us. And I think that that's become like a really, really big thing in the eyes of everybody. Like, oh, wait, we can really change the world and not just a state or a country or a region. No, it can all be different for everybody, no matter how you live, no matter how you think, no matter what.
The only way things ever get done is mass public pressure, period.
And you can see, though, like, I remember having conversations before Julian was freed. Like, there are a few people that I kind of talked off the ledge of, I need a break, or I can't take it anymore. People were exhausted, and rightly so. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
I can say I've been one of them before as well.
I've been one of them.
Trying and saying I can't do it. I can't do it.
Here's the thing. As soon as he was free, it was the second wind that everybody needed. Like, do you know what I mean? And I think it's not just, it's the proof of, against, even in our own, like, I've had so many people confess to me since, like, everybody kind of called me up and was like, oh my God, you must be so happy. And I'm like, yeah, I'm so happy. And people would say, yeah, I didn't think he was ever going to get free. Like, I didn't think we would free him. And it's like, but I love people that are willing. I'll fight a battle if it's a losing battle. I don't give a shit. I'm a fight if there's a fight there to fight, But I genuinely think that this makes, nobody can say, oh, we're never going to accomplish that. Like, we freed the most surveilled man in history. Our government spent hundreds of millions of dollars buying him from Ecuador and spying on him and all this stuff. We did
billions, really. $4.2 billion IMF loans.
By writing letters and talking about it until everybody was so sick of us. I wonder how many of my followers have me on mute. You know what I mean? Like on Twitter that aren't Assanges. You know what I mean? I've wondered that over the years, like how often. But I think everybody's ready. And I just want to say, like, okay, I've already been making these postcards. You can't see them. Anyway, and I have a box going out at the end of August. And instead of just being for Julian, although there will be stuff in there to try to secure a pardon for Julian, because he shouldn't have to have a criminal fucking record for journalism.
Absolutely
there's
not.
Also, like, we're going after to try to get APAC registered with FARA. We're sending these Just Say No about APAC, and I'm going to be coordinating with a couple different political campaigns that are up against candidates who get a lot of money from APAC. Everybody, Leonard Peltier, Ross Ulbricht, like, this box will probably tackle, I think, about 17 different issues all at once. And this is the thing, like, when we were talking about, you know, this is being a nonpartisan issue, and that people can accomplish stuff if they set aside the things they don't agree about and focus on what they do.
Yes.
And literally all these people, like, I've pretty much asked everybody that's ever done a box, so 87 people, what do you want to fight about? Like, what do we do next? And almost across the board, all the same stuff. We're all still on the same page, you know. Somewhere between 75 and 85% of all the issues in the whole world, we actually all agree about, period. That is such a good fucking place to start, you know. And I'm sorry for turning this into a fight the next fight. I'm going to try to control myself.
No, I want to talk about that.
Whatever, don't lose momentum. Don't lose momentum.
No, that's part of the reason why we're doing these shows, Halo, is that I want to be able to, the whole point was, I want to give a face to the people behind the movement who don't get the credit or recognition that they deserve. Because it always bothers me that there's so many people doing so much work that nobody knows their names. Nobody's ever seen them. We'll never know who they are. That's unacceptable to me. But then also I wanted to pick the brains of other activists to find out what works, what's effective, what didn't work, what can we tweak, what can we kind of, you know, maybe we can combine some different things. But I also wanted to make sure that we're continuing the momentum and making sure that what is next? What are we going to start working on next? How can we best help each other? And maybe we're not all on the same thing. Maybe some people want to do, you know, something over here. Some people want to focus on Palestine. I'm going to be working on McBride. Yes, exactly.
Coordinate and amplify. And I do want to say one thing that Aspen and Tyler and Chester and like all the kids did, is that she's a music festival junkie. She goes all over the country to music festivals. That's how she met Andrew. Her and Tyler met Andrew. But they would take postcards with them and buttons and stuff to, you know, all these, you know, the younger generation.
So many postcards. So many postcards. Oh my goodness. I kid you not. At one point on the last day, and I'm talking, I don't even have anything left. A sticker, a bracelet, a keychain. I don't have a postcard, nothing. And I'm walking back to camp and I see two guys holding one of the postcards and they were talking over it. It was like, one of those, like, oh, well, I didn't see another Julian Assange activist out here doing postcards, so that definitely came from me. So it was like one of those things to say, like, the footwork to add on to Mom with how holding signs has been so effective, because even if you're in the car for 5 seconds, you see that, you're like, wait, whoa, what did that say? You know, the groundwork, we would
always see people filming us or taking pictures.
All the time, or just even circling around the block multiple times just so that they could read every single sign that everybody was holding. And it's become so normalized to be in in my generation and in the world of, you know, meshing all of the cultures to go, hey, here are these issues, do we agree? I mean, the only other thing was the, you know, Amnesty I saw at Bonnaroo, they had Julian stuff, and it was like, oh, that's insane, because it was 5 years ago. If I said Julian Assange, somebody said who? And I had to say the whole rehearsed script over again, you know, from front to back. And now, you know, I've heard other people talking about it. And it's become like a mass. I mean, you put JUL into Google and the first thing says Julian Assange. Like and that's one thing I never thought would be ever.
Well, that's what and people used to get so annoyed, and I think that there are some activists who are in it for the wrong reasons, and they want it to be like this special social club, and they don't want other people involved. And I was like, no, it needs to we need to make it mainstream. Julian Assange needs to be a household name. Like that should be the goal. We should want to have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez talking about Julian Assange. I hate her, but I want her talking about Julian Assange.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Like
it doesn't matter how I feel about who you are as a person or blah 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 blah. I bring it up. People get mad at me because I like thanked Marjorie Taylor Greene. Hey, thanks for talking about Julian Assange. How I can't believe you're blah, blah. I don't care. I do not care. I don't care where she stands on any other issue. I don't care. I find her to be a repugnant human being. I don't care if she's talking about Julian Assange. That's a win. Hillary could talk about Julian, and I'd be like, hell yeah, go yeah. You know what I mean? But I still would like to see her maybe burst into flames. So
yeah. Yes, and that should have always been the goal. That should have always been the goal. And I think that we've done a good job over the years, at least for me in my experience, in my inner circle, of weeding those people out. People who were obviously using the Assange case for clout and stuff like that, which I've been accused of so many times, which is funny to me. But weeding those people out, I think we've done a really good job. And also, frankly, at least, again, for me in my experience and in my little circle of avoiding the attempts at infiltration, because there have been many.
Oh, wow, yeah. I mean, we've had a few people show up at our stuff at different times where you're like, kind of out of the corner of your eye.
Girl, I had people show up and try to light themselves on fire at my event. Okay.
At the end of the day, you can get called crazy, but I've only ever seen the same truck every time we've stood out with signs. I've never seen it any other time ever.
Yeah.
You know, like, and you know, people can you're a conspiracy theorist. It's like, well,
they there were feds at every single one of our events.
What do you think the FBI is for? What do you think the CIA is for? Or formerly OSS? What do you think the point of infiltration and you know, like,
you know what? It's so much deeper though than just like the street actions. Like there, you know, I've been in discussions with, you know, mostly my European friends because I've kind of known them longer, and that movement was more alive when it was just kind of me here in the US or whatever. But like talking about different people, they're doing something sort of mostly, but then later you look and it's just like they're using the CIA checklist for how to infiltrate a group or whatever, you know. And so then there's these other conversations where you're like, yeah, okay, don't say that in front of you know what I mean? And then you literally will watch things play out and where it's like, okay.
A perfect example. The perfect example is the cinema saying that Ithaca was almost sold out. And then we've got what, 15, 20, exactly. That's not a sold out theater, you know?
No, but all the tickets were sold. Like
I think that people probably
were. Of course they were. Somebody bought them all up.
Yeah, and Kendra said that happened in Denver as well. I heard about it
I heard that from a couple different people who did those shows. But, so 100%.
Well, I do want to mention two things because I don't know what time we're looking at, but one,
we got like 10 more minutes.
That one of the people that kind of came along in the middle of this with us and was out for a few years with us that didn't get to see it to its end is Jordan Limpert, who was
Sleepy. Do you have those pictures, by the way?
I don't know which one's Jordan.
It's the ones I sent you separately. I think I only have them on my phone.
Hold on.
Let me see where I sent. I think I sent them to you on.
I just forgot to grab them off Twitter.
Okay. Yeah, we can bring up some pictures too.
Well, I just want to say, unfortunately, you know, he was with us for a lot of that fight, and even when he was like what 22, 21, 22, 23, like, you know, and I look at a lot of the other groups, and there's mostly older people or middle-aged people, and that's one of the things that's definitely been different about Tulsa, because mostly it's all been Gen Z and millennials or whatever, but mostly Gen Z. And Jordan was pretty awesome, and I know that if there is a place after this, that he's smiling about this because he really cared about Julian.
I wish he could have seen him free.
Eric,
Eric, Eric kills me. Although I will say, I wish that Eric were still alive to see Julian free, but I'm very, very happy that Eric is not here to see what's happening in Palestine, because that would have destroyed him.
That would have ruined it. Yeah.
Eric was hardcore for Palestine for decades, literally decades, like 7 decades. So I wouldn't wish for him to have to experience witnessing what's happening in Palestine, but I do wish that he had been here to see Assange free, because you know, he was the best of us, in my opinion. And it's sad that Jordan, I mean, obviously so young, like that is awful. So
and he would want us all to continue to fight.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so would Eric, no question about it.
Anybody that watches this, if you are interested in participating in this, all you got to do is send me your address, and I will send you a box, and all you have to do is just sign stuff, postage paid.
Do you have a fundraiser? Is it the same fundraiser as always?
I took that fundraiser down because I'm kind of okay right now with supplies and stuff.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out another way to pay for it. I'm also, if you are anybody watching this and you have a movement of any sort that's like a political prisoner, something bipartisan, and you have leaflets that you wish everybody could see, or you can think of somebody we should be writing about this or whatever, contact me on Twitter. Or you can call me, whatever.
I'm already going to hit you up for McBride stuff, just so you know.
Okay, yes, but if you have stuff though, and you're an activist already, if you want that spread out, send me some stuff, and I will put it in these boxes. You know, there are other ways to go about this. So, but yeah, I'm going to be working on the McBride stuff with some people in Australia too. So, but yeah,
we're after that
anything, it's totally free. Like,
yeah, after totally that tweet free from McBride's team the other day, we have to get serious about that. So I'm very troubled by that situation. So okay, now obviously, as we've been talking about, fight doesn't end here. We're going to keep pushing. Biden has stepped down now, or he's dropped out of the race. Not stepped down, dropped out of the race. So now is like a really amazing time to put serious amounts of pressure for a pardon. And we can frame it as, hey, why don't you stick it to Trump and make him look even worse on the issue of free speech by pardoning Julian Assange? Yep. So that I think we need to really focus on. That's really just going to be pressure on Biden himself. So the White House comment line, I'm going to get graphics made for that. And then, you know, we can do a big push there. We can send postcards or whatever. I'm sure Halo's got something up her sleeve for that. But I think that now in these next several months, that's going to be, and especially through like his lame duck, that's going to be a huge, there he is right there in the middle.
Right there.
That's Jordan. Yeah, that's Jordan. So that's one that we lost. Wish he would be here to see it. But yeah, we're going to make a push for the pardon. I think that now's a really opportune time to do that, given Biden's situation and the Democratic Party situation. They need as many wins as humanly possible. So I think we can really put a huge push and a huge pressure there for sure.
He wants to be in it, so I guess he's part of this now. Sorry.
All right. Yeah. No. I mean, hello, cute puppy. You should have had him there the whole time,
He was sleeping, okay?
What the hell? I now
all
feel
dogs
cheated.
Want to free Julian, so he wanted to free him before he was born. He is teething.
Oh, poor baby.
Yeah,
Teething
poor baby
sucks.
him. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm getting viciously attacked over here.
You need some chew toys. Get some.
Oh, he's got them. He prefers me.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Okay, so before we wrap up, does anybody have anything else they want to add? Anything that I missed? Anything that you think is important to discuss? Anybody? Anything?
No. I'm just proud of everyone in this room. And I'm proud of everyone not in this room who put in the fight and put in the grunt work, who went out and spoke out. I hope that we all continue to keep this momentum going, because there's still more to do.
Oh my God, we're just
Chase,
all having
what the hell? You guys have been holding out.
Yeah, my girl.
You guys have been holding out. Jeez Louise. Sorry, Mr. Benson. I'm sorry for interrupting you. Animals came on the screen and I'm suddenly completely
distracted. This is my life, so. Getting laid on.
I agree with you, Mr. Benson. I'm super proud of everybody. I'm so kind of overwhelmed with appreciation for being part of this. You know what I mean? Like a little teeny tiny part of this, both just because of what we were able to accomplish, but then also the relationships that I've managed to build. Some of my very best friends in the whole wide world I met through this situation. And I'm so grateful for that. I mean, it sucked. It was hard. It was exhausting. It was emotional. It was a roller coaster.
But it was worth it.
It was worth it. And I will have lifelong relationships that I built from this. And I think that that's invaluable. So I'm really grateful for that for sure. Anybody else have anything? Anybody? Chase? Anybody? No? Good?
I don't think I got anything other than we won.
I know,
or
right?
We're winning.
Yeah.
Great job, Tulsa.
Yeah, great job, Tulsa. Everybody go and follow Halo at Halo Benson on Twitter. If you would like to contact her about the boxes or any of that stuff, you can just shoot her a DM and then send her your address and all that stuff, and she'll send you everything. Is everybody else on Twitter too? I know, Chase, you are.
On.
You're not?
Not very big on this, but yeah.
Good for you.
It's toxic. You guys got the toxic site.
Of it. Yeah, stay off of it. But Chase is on Twitter. I'm sure most of our people are familiar with Chase. He's been part of the Twitter fam for a while.
I can put links in the description. And stuff.
Yeah, we'll put Twitter. Yeah, we'll put Twitter stuff, and yeah, we'll put links to all the stuff. And Halo, if you do another fundraiser, let me know so we can blast that out. We talked about it last night about how expensive activism can get with stamps and boxes and all of that stuff. So,
and I would like to say, as her daughter, she downplays it so much. She is such a humble warrior. She's always like, "I got it, I got it, I got it, I got it." I have her favorite thing in the world is Mountain Dew and Reese's. Okay, and I've seen her go without those things to get freaking stamps or go to Staples. Okay, so everybody, she is overly humble. It's kind of her thing.
Man, I gotta send Halo some dew.
Yeah. And some Reese's. We need to hook you up, girl. Yeah, but seriously, it is unbelievably expensive. We did talk about it a little bit last night, so I'm not going to rail on it again, but it is incredibly expensive.
Well, no, you know what was worse, though, is I ordered 5,000 934 postcards like a week before he was free. I spent I literally
better. I got all these unfilled out envelopes, guys. What am I supposed to do
we
with
still have tons of envelopes.
Yeah,
and
I have so much stuff.
Back.
Yeah, no, I'm going to make it filling out more. Sorry.
There are other things we can use the envelopes for sure. But yeah, like I have I just got like hundreds of buttons, free Assange buttons, like a couple weeks before he was free. I'm like, I spent like $300 out of pocket for those, and I'm like, great, I have all these buttons. I have no use for them now.
Save me one. I don't have shit from all these.
I'll send you. I
There'll
have
be
so much stuff.
collectible items later down the road.
If anybody wants
$5,000 in 10 years.
If anybody wants stuff, I have lots of stuff, and I'm willing to send people some like little mementos and stuff. I still owe Reef some. Reef's the one that designed my latest button, and he wants some of them since he designed them. So I have tons. If anybody wants any, hit me up. I'm happy to send them out. Okay, so everybody go follow Halo, follow the Tulsa for Assange page, get involved, get active, find something that you care about. Halo can include it in the boxes and all that stuff. Thank you again to Tulsa for all the work that you've done over the years. It's been an absolute joy to watch you guys do what you do. And to be part of the family. So thank you for that. And we will be back on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern with the crew from Denver. Do not miss that. Denver is also another integral part of this whole situation. Yeah, Kendra. I mean, you guys know Kendra. But there's going to be multiple other people from the Denver crew coming through too. Again, people who we would otherwise not know. So I'm very excited to put a face to those people, because without those people, we wouldn't be talking about a free Assange today. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Tune in Wednesday, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
See everybody.
Later.
Bye.